You've heard the name Medusa, the monster with snakes for hair and a gaze that turns men to stone. But what if I told you she wasn't born a monster? She was made one. The real story of Medusa is a tragedy, far darker and more complex than the myth you think you know. Imagine ancient Greece, a world of gods and mortals. In this world lived Medusa, a young woman of breathtaking beauty, serving as a priestess in the temple of Athena, the goddess of wisdom and war. Her hair was said to be her crowning glory, so radiant and golden that people whispered it rivaled the sun itself. Even the gods on Mount Olympus were said to have noticed her. But this divine attention wasn't a blessing. It was the beginning of her end. One day, Poseidon, the mighty god of the sea, saw Medusa. Consumed by desire, he pursued her relentlessly. Fleeing in terror, Medusa sought sanctuary in the one place she felt safe, the sacred temple of her patron goddess, Athena. But the temple walls offered no protection. In a shocking act of violation, Poseidon assaulted Medusa right on the temple's holy floor. When Athena discovered what had happened in her sacred space, she was filled with rage. But her fury was not directed at the powerful god who had desecrated her temple. Instead, she unleashed her wrath upon the mortal victim, Medusa. In a cruel twist of divine justice, Athena cursed the young priestess. Medusa's beautiful, flowing hair writhed and twisted, transforming into a horrifying nest of venomous snakes. Her soft skin turned scaly and green, and her eyes, once full of life, were cursed with a deadly power. Anyone who dared to look into them would instantly turn to stone. Suddenly, she was no longer Medusa the beautiful, but Medusa the Gorgon, a monster. Terrified of the monster she had become and the harm she could cause, she was cast out, shunned by the world she once knew. She fled to a remote, desolate island, living in complete solitude. Her only companions the hissing snakes on her head and the stone statues of unfortunate sailors and adventurers who had stumbled upon her lair. She was a prisoner of a curse she never deserved, a tragic figure forever trapped in a monstrous form. But her story of suffering was far from over. Her fate was about to intertwine with that of a young hero named Perseus. Perseus was on a quest, a seemingly impossible one given to him by a tyrannical king who wanted him gone. The task? To bring back the head of the Gorgon Medusa. This wasn't just a test of courage. It was a death sentence. But Perseus was not alone. The very gods who had a hand in Medusa's downfall now aided her killer. Athena, the same goddess who cursed Medusa, gave Perseus a mirrored shield so he could see Medusa's reflection without looking directly at her. Hermes, the messenger god, provided him with a pair of winged sandals to fly to her island, and a powerful sword sharp enough to slice through the Gorgon as tough hide. Guided by the gods, Perseus found Medusa's island. He navigated the eerie garden of stone figures, the frozen forms of men who had met her gaze. He found the Gorgon's lair and saw her sleeping, a grotesque but pitiful sight. Averting his eyes and looking only at her reflection in his polished shield, Perseus raised his divine sword. With one swift, decisive strike, he severed her head. The curse was finally broken, but only through death. Yet even in death, Medusa's power and legacy endured in a strange and powerful way. From the blood that spilled from her neck, two magical beings sprang into existence. Pegasus, the magnificent winged horse, and Chrysaor, a giant warrior with a golden sword. Her story didn't end with her last breath. Perseus placed the severed head into a special bag and used its petrifying power as a weapon on his journey home, turning his enemies to stone. Eventually, he presented the head to Athena, who placed it on her own shield, the Aegis, forever using the face of the woman she cursed as a symbol of her power and protection. So was Medusa a monster? Or was she a victim, a symbol of injustice, punished for a crime committed against her? Her story has been told and retold for thousands of years, and she remains one of the most compelling and misunderstood figures in all of mythology. She is a reminder that monsters are not always born. Sometimes they are created by cruelty, by injustice, and by the indifference of the powerful. The tale of Medusa challenges us to look beyond the surface, to see the woman behind the monster and the tragedy behind the myth. Thank you for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as I do, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into the myths and legends that shape our world. See you next time.